everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to do another band battle royale for you. This time it's only going to be two bands taking on each other. We have two of my favorite A bands, Aerosmith versus AC/DC. Love both bands. Aerosmith, I probably am a little bit more attached to Aerosmith. They were the second band I ever got into. I still think that those classic Aerosmith albums from the 70s are some of the best classic rock ever released. Not that AC/DC isn't, but I really love those classic Aerosmith albums. As Aerosmith goes on, I think their catalog gets a little spottier, which is I think where AC/DC is going to shine. Where AC/DC remained a pretty consistent band, Aerosmith was sort of hit and miss. So both bands I love. Both bands are great. AC/DC has one extra album, so we have to drop one from the catalog. There are three AC/DC studio albums that I still don't own. The first two, High Voltage and Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, which Dirty Deeds I have on vinyl, I just didn't dig it out. And then the other one I don't own is Stiff Upper Lip. That's the one that we're going to cut from the battle, so Stiff Upper Lip is not going to be part of the battle to make it an even 15 versus 15. So the way we do this, take the first two albums, the first albums, battle them against each other. I choose which one I think is the better album. And then rinse and repeat till we go to the end. Should there be a tie, which there won't be a tie this time because it's only two bands and there's 15 rounds, so somebody will win. But if there's ever a tie, then we go to overtime with the two bands that tied and battle out the winning albums there. So let's kick this thing off. I don't own High Voltage, but it's going up against Aerosmith's first album, self-titled debut. Both albums are very good. This one's grown on me a lot over the years. I used to not be crazy about this one. Make It's great. Dream On, of course, is classic. Mama Ken. I've come around on some of the other tracks on here. I like the cover Walk and the Dog's really cool. Moving Out. Somebody. So you got some cool stuff on here. High Voltage, of course, some Drop Dead classics on there. It's Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. TNT. High Voltage, the title track. As far as which album I think is better, I love the highlights on both. I think this one remains a little more consistent. There's a few songs on High Voltage I've never been crazy about. I've never been big on the Jack. Never really been like into Can I Sit Next to You Girl either. So a few songs on High Voltage I'm not crazy about. This one, like I said, I've come around on this one, so the weaker songs on here to me aren't as weak as they used to be. So for me, I'm taking the first Aerosmith album. Next up we have Get Your Wings versus Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. I think this is a steady improvement over the first Aerosmith album. This album, fantastic. Same Old Song and Dance, Lord of the Thighs, Spaced, Woman of the World, which is a very underrated track, I will add. SOS Too Bad, You Got Train Kept Rolling, probably a little overplayed, but still a classic nonetheless. Seasons of Wither, Pandora's Box, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, much like High Voltage. I probably don't like it quite as much as High Voltage, but you still got the title track, you've got Rocker, you've got Big Balls, you've got Problem Child. You got some Drop Dead AC/DC classics on that one, but I think this one, from start to finish, I like a lot better, so Aerosmith wins again. Next up, we have Let There Be Rock versus Toys in the Attic. I love this album, man. My favorite Aerosmith album. Drop Dead classics. Yeah, I'm a little burnt out on Walk This Way, but I never, ever, ever get sick of and tired of hearing Sweet Emotion. You get Toys in the Attic, you got Uncle Salty, you got Adam's Apple, you got big 10-inch records, No More, No More, Round and Round. I mean, killer stuff on here. Great album. Great album. I like Toys in the Attic better. So that's 3-0 for Aerosmith. But this is where AC/DC, I think, is going to start picking it up, because Powerade is really where AC/DC starts coming into their own for me. It's a great album right here. Rock and Roll Damnation, Down Payment Blues, Give Me a Bullet, Riff Raff, Sin City, What's Next to the Moon, Gone Shooting, Up to My Neck and You Kicked in the Teeth, and it just doesn't let up. But this album doesn't let up either. Back in the Saddle, Last Child, Rats in the Cellar, Combination, Sick as a Dog, Nobody's Fault, Get the Let Out, Licking a Promise, Home Tonight. Two albums that are just so super, super solid. and both of them are awesome. Like, I just don't know which one. What do you go with? Here, I guess my cat wants to help me decide. Which one do you think we should go with? She doesn't care. She just wants me to feed her. Ever so slightly, I think I gotta go with Rocks. Ever so slightly. Power Age is fantastic. Power Age would beat a lot of albums, but I gotta go Rocks. My cat's not gonna make this easy, is she? All right, Highway to Hell, my favorite AC/DC album versus Draw the Line. Kind of underappreciated. Maybe not as strong as those two that came before it, but still, you got Draw the Line. You've got I Want to Know Why, Critical Mass, Kings and Queens. Love that song. Sight for Sore Eyes. This is my favorite AC/DC album for a reason. Super, super solid, just like Power Age. Got the title track, which may be a little overplayed. Otherwise, Girls Got Rhythm. Beating Around the Bush is my favorite Bon Scott era AC/DC song. Shot Down in Flames, Get It Hot, If You Want Blood, Night Prowler, Love Hungry Man. I love this album right here, but I gotta give it to AC/DC this time. Just because of the consistency. This one's got a couple tracks, I like every song here, but there's a few songs that just aren't as strong as the rest of it. This one, man, it's just packed from start to finish. AC/DC is on the board with Highway to Hell. Alright, next up. Back in Black versus Night in the Ruts. I know what most people would go with. Most people would go with this one. This is an iconic album for reason. Good reason. There's so much iconic stuff on here. Hell's Bells, Shoot the Thrill, Back in Black, Shook Me All Night Long. Shake a Leg's my favorite song on the album. It's kind of a deep cut. I'm a little burnt out on some of it, I ain't gonna lie. Some of these songs I am really burnt out on. Song like Let Me Put My Love Back Into You, never been crazy about that song. It's my least favorite on here. This is like an unsung hero in the Aerosmith catalog. No Surprise, Chiquita, two of my favorite Aerosmith tracks right there. 3 Mile Smiles, fantastic. Bone to Bone, Coney Island, Whitefish Boy, Think About It, which is my favorite cover on here, because the other two covers are actually my two least favorite songs on the album. Remember Walking in the Sand and Reefer Headed Woman. So this one's not perfect. It's got a couple of songs, again, I'm not real crazy about, but the rest of it is fantastic. Every bit as good as Draw the Line, Rocks, Toys in the Attic at its peak. Just doesn't have the consistency. I think I gotta go this one just because of how solid it is. It's iconic for a reason, but I'm not trying to pick it because it's iconic. Like, head to head, which of these two albums do I like better? If I can't skip anything, I probably like this one better, even though I do love this one a lot, and it hurts because I really want to go with this one, but I think I have to go with this one just because it doesn't have Reefer Headed Woman, basically. And Remember Walking in the Sand. I'm not crazy about Remember Walking in the Sand either, so I'm going to give it to Back in Black, though that one stings. Alright, next up we have For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, and Rock in a Hard Place. I'm not a big fan of this album. Some people really do love this one. This is the last of those really classic sounding Aerosmith records. It sounds a lot like the 70s material. Doesn't have Joe Perry, doesn't have Brad Whitford. You can tell Steven Tyler is screwed up at this point. This is a band that is just lost in more ways than one. There's some good stuff on here. Jailbait, Lightning Strikes. The title track's pretty cool. All in all, it's a really difficult listen. Push Comes to Shove is, in my opinion, the worst song Aerosmith has ever recorded. So I gotta take that into consideration. You got some solid AC/DC material right here. Title track, Put the Finger on You, Inject the Venom, Snowballed. So I gotta go with this one. AC/DC. So Aerosmith won the first 4, but AC/DC has now won the last 3. So this is getting interesting. Flick of the Switch versus Done with Mirrors. And gosh, do I love both of these albums. Both of these are really kind of unsung in the catalogs, I think. This one is super solid. Rising Power, The House is on Fire, the title track, Nervous Shakedown, Landslide, Brain Shake's really cool. This one, overshadowed by the album that comes after it. But you've got Let the Music Do the Talking, which is a Joe Perry Project cover. Probably like the Joe Perry Project version a little bit better, but this one's still really good. My Fist Your Face is awesome. Shame on You, Reason a Dog, Gypsy Boots, The Hop, low key one of my favorite Aerosmith songs ever. Not a bad song on this album. I love both these albums. I really wish I could give it to both of them, but I'm going to go Aerosmith this time. Ever so slightly, I'm going to go Aerosmith. I think Done With Mirrors is super, super underrated. Not that Flick of the Switch isn't. Alright, next up we have Fly on the Wall versus Permanent Vacation. Aerosmith back on the map in a big way with this album right here. Ragdoll. Love Ragdoll. I don't ever need to hear Dude Looks Like a Lady again. And Angel's okay. I don't love Angel. I don't hate Angel. Some really good deep cuts on here. Cimaraya, St. John, Hangman Jury's really cool. Permanent Vacation, you got the Beatles cover, I'm Down, it's pretty cool. Magic Touch. This one here, I think the production is what lets this one down because I think the songs in here are fantastic. Fly on the Wall, Shake Your Foundations, First Blood, Hell or High Water, Back in Business, one of my favorite real deep cuts, Send for the Man. Whew, boy. This is tough. By the slightest margin. I don't even feel good about this, but I gotta give it to something. It's by the slightest margin, I think I'm gonna go Permanent Vacation. Slightest margin. I don't even know why. Even despite Dude Looks Like a Lady, I think I'm still gonna go Permanent Vacation because you got honestly, Steven Tyler never sounded better. This and the next couple of Aerosmith albums, Steven Tyler is like at his peak as far as his vocal ability goes. Steven sounds great on this. I mean, you got Dude Looks Like a Lady, but you got like Hangman Jury, you got St. John, you got Cimaraya. So, gosh, I love this one. I think this one's underappreciated, but I'm ever so slightly gonna give it to Permanent Vacation. Next up, we have Blow Up Your Video and Pump. So, much like Fly on the Wall, I think this one is let down because the production is a very kind of sloppy sound, but there's some really good songs on here. And this one's overlooked. This is at the bottom of a lot of people's list, but I quite like this album. Heat Seeker, I do like the AC/DC live version better, but the album version is great. That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll is a lot of fun. Mean Streak is great. Go Zone. Nick of Time. This Means War. Banging track. Great song. One of my favorite deep AC/DC cuts. Pump. Again, Steven Tyler sounds fantastic. This band continuing the energy they had on Permanent Vacation. Clearly they have been reborn. I think they're starting to get a little bit hit and miss for me here. Even though Steven Tyler sounds great, and there's some great songs on here, like Young Lust, Fine, My Girl, 3 deep cuts that are amazing. The hits on here, not quite as burnt out on them as I am Dude Looks Like a Lady, though Love in an Elevator, I'm kind of getting pretty close to being burnt out on. What It Takes is alright. I do like The Other Side. I've always kind of liked that one a lot. And I love Janie's Got a Gun. I don't care what anyone says. That is a great song. Some of these other album cuts, though, I'm not crazy about, like Monkey on My Back and Don't Get Mad, Get Even, Voodoo Medicine Man. Those 3 songs never did anything for me. So, it's so tough, man. Because I feel like both these albums are similar in a way because you've got really great material, some weaker material. We got a couple songs in here I'm not crazy about, like I'm not crazy about Kissin' Dynamite or Something for Nothing. So you got a couple songs that, not real crazy about. This one sounds a lot better for sure than this one does. This is close. Barely, barely. But I'm gonna go Pump. I think it's the production that puts Pump over the edge for me on that one. All right, next up we have the Razor's Edge versus Get a Grip. This is where Aerosmith starts nosediving for me a little bit. There's songs on this album that I really do love. The first like 5 tracks, Intro and Eat the Rich, I love. Get a Grip, I love. Fever, Living on the Edge. Past that, you've got a lot of what I would consider to be filler, like Flesh and Walk On Down, Gotta Love It, Line Up, Shut Up and Dance. And then you've got those 3 ballads, which just irritate the crap out of me. I don't ever want to hear Crying Again. I'm so sick of that song. I'm just equally as sick of Crazy. Amazing, I can still kind of tolerate Amazing. I don't mind hearing it once in a while, but you're never going to catch me listening to that song on repeat. But if I hear it every once in a while, I'm okay with it. So, I don't know, it just starts off so strong, and then the rest of it to me is just not, I don't know, not a fan of it. Oops, dropped my other one here. Razor's Edge, yeah, there's some fluff on this one as well, but absolute classics like Thunderstruck, Fire Your Guns, Money Talks, Razor's Edge, Rock Your Heart Out, Are You Ready? If You Dare, one of my favorite deep cuts. I gotta go with this one. Razor's Edge, to me, smokes Get a Grip, so I'm going with AC/DC this time around. Next up, we have Ball Breaker versus 9 Lives. This one, to me, just like the one before it, there's like 3 songs on here that I really love. The rest of it falls way flat for me. Hold My Soul, Steven Tyler sounds amazing singing that one. I think it's one of his best vocal performances. Full Circle is a great song that never gets talked about. And Crash is a lot of fun. Kiss Your Past Goodbye is alright. Otherwise, I can't stand Pink. I cannot stand that song. I don't really like Fall in Love Is So Hard on the Knees either. Taste of India, yeah, this one doesn't do a lot for me, if I'm being honest. This one, I think this one's a little underrated. It doesn't have the same punch that most other AC/DC albums have. It's a little bit like too, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a little too polished, I guess. If these songs hit a little harder, I think it would broaden the impact a little bit, but there's still some really good songs in here, like Hard as a Rock, Fure, I really like that one, Honey Roll, Hail Caesar, Burn Alive, Love Bomb's really cool, Ball Breaker. I would rather listen to this one. So Ball Breaker is going to win that one for me. Alright, next up we're what are we at right now? Round 13 it looks like, because we're skipping Stiff Upper Lip. AC/DC has one more studio album. We gotta drop one. So Stiff Upper Lip, since I don't own it, it's the only I don't own the first 2, and then Stiff Upper Lip, so I just figured Stiff Upper Lip would be the logical one to cut. So we're gonna go Black Ice and Just Push Play. This album, everybody hates this album. This is at the bottom of everybody's list. This is also the album that got me into Aerosmith, and I still love this one to this day. And this is probably the most outdated sounding Aerosmith album in the whole catalog. I mean, all those great 70s albums and even 80s albums don't sound as dated as this 2001 album does. But I love it. I still love it. Beyond Beautiful, Just Push Play, that really weird rap rock song that Aerosmith tried to do, but I love it. Jaded is fantastic. Fly Away From Here is a great ballad. Trip Hoppin', Sunshine. Love Lies is a really great deep cut on here. Light Inside is another great deep cut. I love this album, I really do. Not so big on this one. Probably one of my least favorite AC/DC albums, honestly. I like the first couple of tracks, Rock and Roll Train, Skies on Fire, Big Jack, Anything Goes, War Machine's okay, and then you can pretty much skip everything else until you get to the last song, Black Ice, because I don't like pretty much any of the rest of it. Smash and Grab, Spoiling for a Fight, Stormy Mayday, She Likes Rock and Roll, Money Made. None of them do anything for me. I really dislike Money Made. The song about that song just, I don't know, I don't care for it. So yeah, I like the first couple songs, I like the last song, everything else, everything in the middle, eh. I'm taking just push play. Oops, I had it upside down. I'm taking just push play. Round 14, Rock or Bust versus Honkin' on Bobo. This is the blues cover album. I like some of the songs on here. I like Roadrunner. I like Shame, Shame, Shame. Baby, Please Don't Go. You Gotta Move. Stop Messing Around's pretty good. All in all, though, not really an essential Aerosmith listen, in my opinion. Rock or Bust, when it came out, I remember hearing it and thinking, boy, they sound old. Boy, do they sound old. I mean, just even, 6 years after Black Ice, they sounded like they had taken 20 years in between studio albums. I just thought they sounded old and decrepit. And then I bought this album, and I'm thinking, you know what? It's actually not that bad. It's actually better than I thought it would be, because I didn't buy it when it came out. So this time around when I got it, Rock or Bust, pretty cool. Play ball. Rock the Blues Away is alright. Hard Times. I really kind of, I don't think there's a song on here that I dislike, actually. So, kind of dig it. I would probably rather listen to it than Honkin' on Bobo. Why do I keep holding these Aerosmith ones upside down? I'm going to give this one to Rock or Bust. Alright, that brings us to the last round. We have Power Up versus Music from Another Dimension. This is not even close. Easy. I love this one. First off, the first 5 songs on here, as good as anything AC/DC's done since The Razor's Edge. Realize, Rejection, Shot in the Dark, Through the Mist of Time, Kick You When You're Down. Awesome. The rest of this album holds its own. It's fantastic. It's great AC/DC. Sounds amazing. They sound about 20 years younger than they did on Rock or Bust. And after everything that went on with their tour in 2016 with Brian Johnson having his hearing issues and leaving the band, and I didn't think Brian sounded that particularly good on Rock or Bust. He sounds like Brian Johnson of old on this one. This album sounds like it could have followed up The Razor's Edge, and I think it's better than The Razor's Edge actually, because it doesn't have some of those filler tracks. I like this one all the way through. It's a great album. Definitely wins over this, because I don't really care for this album. First of all, there's 15 songs on here, and it doesn't need to be, because there's only like 3 of them are even remotely anything I like. I'll Go the Lights I like a lot. That one's pretty cool. Legendary Child's okay. And I actually kind of like the ballad What Could Have Been Love. Otherwise, anything that comes after Street Jesus to me is straight up forgettable. Street Jesus, it's rocking, but it's too long or something. That one just doesn't strike me the same way. I don't care for Tell Me. Oh Yeah is so uninspired, it's unbelievable. Love Three Times is it's a really cool lick from Joe Perry and Brad Whitford, but just very repetitive, and this album falls way flat for me. This is probably my least favorite Aerosmith album, so I'm easily taking Power Up over that. So let's count this thing up and see who wins. So out of 15, Aerosmith has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. AC/DC has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Aerosmith wins 8-7. That was a close one. So let me know in the comments below. Battle it out yourself. Let me know how it would go for you. If you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future. And I will catch you next time.